Hello everybody, in this video I'm just going to really quickly go over 5 stocks that I think are blue chip companies as well as growth companies that have really great growth perspective for the next 5+ years, so a longer term perspective, and they have a lot of upside to them, and they're also generally pretty safe investments. And there's one you may not be expecting or may not have heard of, and then the last one on this video is by far my favorite investment, so be sure to stick around for that one. This first one is kind of a no-brainer. It's the first stock a lot of people think of when they think of blue chip stocks or growth, and it is Apple. I really love what they're doing with getting into new services such as streaming, as well as continuing to innovate their products, and they're up about 300% in the last 5 years, and I see no reason they won't be able to go up another 200% in the next 5 years. And this is also a really safe investment. They have a ton of cash on hand, and there's pretty much no scenario which I could see them really decreasing in value. This is the one that you probably haven't heard of. It's TakeTwo Interactive, ticker symbol TTWO, up over 400% in the last 5 years, which is really incredible. And what this company is a video game developer and publisher. They make games such as Red Dead Redemption, which if you're familiar with video games, you've probably heard of them, and then you've definitely heard of Grand Theft Auto, and these games they only come out every 5 or 6 years, but when they do, they have massive sales, and they're really top of the line for video games. And the last Grand Theft Auto game came out in 2013, I believe, and the next one will come out. You're still looking at a few years out, but there's going to be a ton of hype around this stock when the next one does get announced all the way to when it comes out. So I'm sure there's going to be a huge rally, and it's up over 400% with just one huge video game release. So definitely a huge upside on this one. Next up is Google, up over 130% in the last 5 years, and I think they'll at least do that in the next 5 years, and I really love what they're doing with their Google phones as well as Google advertising through their search engine. And then lastly, and the thing with the most upside to me, is YouTube, which is really taking off in a lot of developing economies all over the world, and I think one of the best companies to get into every single market in the entire world, with the exception of a few countries. Next up is Microsoft, up over 350%, which is pretty crazy to see because it was the largest company in the world already 5 years ago, so it's insane for it to be up this much in the last 5 years, but I don't see any reason it won't go up that much again in the next 5 years. And even though it's a really small portion of their business, they're coming out with the new Xbox Series X, which may do better than the PlayStation 5, which, if you're unfamiliar with that industry, it's kind of a big deal because the PlayStation 4 did about double the sales of the Xbox One, so really great growth perspective there. Last on this list is Tesla, which is up over 900% in the last 5 years, which is just absolutely insane. And you can see before a year ago it was pretty stagnant, so almost all of that is from the last year. And a lot of people are going to say that this is not a blue chip stock, which is definitely a good point, and I could agree with that. But I would say with them having, $13.5 billion on cash on hand, they're really not in any danger, and they're really shifting towards being a blue chip stock, even though this is really more of a growth stock right now. But with all that they're doing with building 3 new factories at the same time, and I'm sure they're going to be building more, as well as battery innovation, autonomous vehicle innovation, what they're doing with operations. I mean, the list just goes on and on of what they're doing absolutely amazingly compared to their peers. And there's also a really common argument going around right now that all of the major growth with this company is done, and then the stock price is not going to appreciate very much. But I would say in 5 years, you're probably going to be looking at $1 trillion market cap for this company. So definitely still a good time to get in, even though you're probably not going to see a 9 times return like you would have seen in the last 5 years. Let me know down in the comments if there's some other stocks you would have liked to see on the list. I make tons of brief stock analysis videos on my channel, so be sure to come and check that out. And I've actually done a video on all of those stocks, so be sure to come and check that out if you are interested in those. Subscribe for more content, and thank you so much for watching to the very end.